opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
And hello, everybody. Welcome into a wonderful Monday Memorial Day episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Brought to you, as always, by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. You can see them in the top right-hand corner of the screen. They go the extra mile for you, so you don't have to. We try to do the same here on this show every single day. We continue to do that today. We do our player profiles like we do in every episode, or at least we try to do them in every episode. I know we've missed a couple this spring. If you're being technical, there were some episodes where we did not play a player profile because we were talking about tournament time and Anthony got a little bit carried away with his yabbering. But most every day we play at least one player profile / coach's corner and try to highlight the great players and coaches that we have in our YSN communities. We will continue that today. We are prepping all week for the state tournament for softball and the regional semifinals for baseball, but the state softball tournament is set. If you were not paying attention over the weekend for some reason and then you're tuned in today for your recap, we'll talk about all three regional championships the YSN family teams were a part of. Spoiler alert, we went 3 for 3. We were guaranteed one. So, but the other two, we also got into state. So not next week, but this weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we're going to have not one, not two, but once again, just like last year, 3 teams at Firestone Stadium fighting for the state's championship. Fitch trying to repeat, Canfield trying to avenge their championship loss, South Range trying to get back into the championship game first and foremost, and then win their programs first. They've been there a couple of times. They've knocked on that door since 2016. This will be South Range's 4th. They're trying to kick that door in. So you got a couple of programs going for different things. Canfield, back-to-back trips to a championship. They're trying to get their programs first. South Range trying to kick that door in that they've been knocking on for the last 8 years. And Fitch trying to repeat back-to-back and run it back for a state championship. So that's going to be a fun discussion. We're kind of going to be going over that all week. We also have Running Wednesday on Wednesday. So your track fans out there want to know who's going to state, who has the best chances at state, who got regional championships. We will cover all of that on Wednesday with Rick Seipert. He's going to be having all the results in front of him, and he'll tell you who did really great in regionals. We had a lot of great results come out. We had a couple of regional champions, but we're going to leave that for Wednesday. We'll have that show dedicated to track on Running Wednesdays. It'll be episode 7 out of 8. We're almost at the season finale. We're going to have 2 more episodes of Running Wednesday this week, and then the state recap next week will be it for Running Wednesdays. So if you haven't tuned in yet, your chances to check in on Running Wednesdays are dwindling. So make sure to get down on Wednesday here on Running Point and check that out. Today's player profile, though, we're going to venture into South Range softball. Had a chance to catch up with some of those players last week ahead of their regional championship game. And today we're going to feature a player profile from Anna A., the third baseman for South Range, that is a power hitter, leads the team in home runs, leads the team in RBIs from the left side, which is something not just rare in high school level. You look at even the college level, all the teams in the World Series right now, and you try to count the number of left-handed hitters that are also very, very liable to hit a home run, maybe even leading their team in home runs. It is not very common at all to see it. So a left-handed power hitter, that's the ultimate recruiting tool in Anna A's pocket. We got a chance to catch up with her as she talks about her first 2 years and in the future for South Range and all that fun stuff. So I can't wait to play that interview for you guys here. Second half of the show, we got it on lockdown, and that's going to be fun. But first, let's talk about these regional championships. We left you on Friday. There was no show on Friday because we were down covering the Canfield game that started at 1 o'clock. Here are how your regional championship games went. The scoreboard, by the way, real quick, presented by Burnett Pool Spas and Hot Tubs. The YSN scoreboard is a great tool for our YSN fans. Whether you were at one of the games we are broadcasting or you're watching one of our broadcasts on a remote place, you never want to look away from the action for too long. And the YSN scoreboard is a great and easy way to get live updated scores very quickly across the YSN family. YSN scoreboard can be found at ysnlive.com/scores, and it is presented by Burnett Pools. We got it all, including scores. Burnett Pools and Spas and Hot Tubs. Make sure to check them out as the summer months start heating up here into June and into June soon. In July and August, the hottest months of the year. So here's how the regional finals went. We started with Canfield playing at 1 o'clock. This game got moved up because of Canfield's baccalaureate ceremony on Friday night. So they moved it up. Buckeye was okay with it. This was an interesting matchup because you had Canfield trying to repeat as regional champions, trying to get back to Firestone. A very well-known program. Against Buckeye, who was really not just a lesser-known program in the regional sense, but also from a county that does not see a lot of teams at the regional. The last time someone from Medina County got to the regional championship was back in 2013, so 11 seasons ago, and that was the Medina Bees back in the day. So it's been even 11 years since anyone from the county got to this point, and the Bucks were definitely trying to represent not just their community, but the whole area in Medina as a whole. And I thought they did that really well. I thought they played a very good softball game. Canfield scratched across 3 runs on 3 hits. This freshman, I should say, pitcher for Buckeye, Lily Young, really put on a show. Her rise ball was working well, but then when Canfield was starting to lay off the rise ball, she came with a couple of adjustments. She threw some off speed, threw some stuff down low in the zone, really kept Canfield off balance, but the Cardinals would not be denied. They took advantage of every little opportunity they had. RBIs from Leah Figueroa, a big hit late in the game from Macy Klein, their senior, to score that extra 3rd run. And then Melina Toth pitched really, really well. Really well. 17 strikeouts on the day to get her team to the state semifinals at Firestone Stadium. This was a game that was a pitcher's duel. Absolute pitcher's duel. And if you get into a pitcher's duel with Melina Toth, you better take advantage of any opportunity that she gives you. A couple of walks, but only 1 hit. Didn't have too many opportunities, and the Buckeye Bucks could not take very many opportunities that they had. So that was the difference in this game. Canfield didn't have a lot of opportunities either, just 3 hits, but when they had them, they took advantage of them in full force. So Canfield's going back to state. They will play Kenton Ridge in the Division II state semifinals. Firestone Stadium, their semifinal is set for Friday. 10 a.m. is your start time. Friday at 10 a.m., Akron Firestone Stadium. Canfield will be there and try to get into the state championship for the 2nd straight year. No matter what, there's going to be a new state champion. Talmadge lost in the regional semifinals to Buckeyes. So there will be a new state champion this year in Division II, no matter how it shakes out. We, of course, hope it'll be Canfield. We are rooting for the Cardinals in Division II as the YSN family school. We move on to the game that was really anticipated. Everyone, even in the start of the tournament when the regional pairings came out, the seeds came out, Before it was even there, everyone said Fitch versus Walsh. This is what's going to happen. It was written in pencil at the end of the bracket. Now, Amherst Steel made everybody make sure it was in pencil, not in pen, because they gave Fitch one heck of a battle in the regional semifinals. But Fitch got past that, and then everyone was just kind of ready. And I think this game was, if you're Walsh, you never want to see Fitch right after a game where they escape, right? Because they escaped a loss in the regional semifinals, because okay, they're going to tighten up a little bit more. They're going to take advantage of every opportunity they had. They had 12 hits against Amherst, just 2 runs. They were going to be laser focused. They were not going to let anything buy them a game after that. When you're playing a team that escapes, I don't want to say playing bad, but because they didn't play bad. They played a really good game. Amherst played really well. But in the same sense, like you see it in basketball, you see it even in football, you see it in every sport in the playoffs. When you get a team off of a win where they kind of escaped, where they got that win, they got the clutch win, they made the clutch play, it was a game that could have gone either way, and you play them next, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a team that is tightened, focused, absolutely locked in on this, because they're not going to have that happen twice in a row. At least the really good teams, the elite teams are like that. So I knew coming into this game, I said, man, Walsh should have been rooting really hard for Amherst Steel to win that game, because once they pushed Fitch that hard, the mountain, if it could get any higher against Austintown Fitch to climb, it got higher when they escaped the game the way they did. And they proved it. They came out with an 8-2 victory. This was 7-0. It was pretty much Fitch's game from the start. It was one of those games in sports that happens where the really highly anticipated game turns out to be one that is dominated by one side. Watching the tape, I did get a chance to come back and rewatch the game. Ty Bartell, great call by him as always. You get a good vantage point from that YSU press box, and I think Walsh, for most of their at-bats, and I think their coach would agree with this too, because he's a really good coach, I think they were pressing just a little bit. I think they and this is a cliche in sports. It doesn't really sound intuitive, but they wanted it too much almost. They were trying too hard. A lot of these at-bats, they were swinging for the fences, and if you do that against Sydney Watts, you're in a lot of trouble. And then they pushed the envelope in times, so they really didn't have to. There was a play where they had a threat, and there was a strikeout. They went to steal the base. Kylie Folkwine threw the runner out, and it's just like, man, I know you got speed, but at the same time, you're throwing. You're trying to steal against a pitcher that throws gas, and a catcher that hasn't given up much when you talk about base runners all season. I don't know if I'd push the envelope there, especially with 2 strikes against a strikeout pitcher. That's the kind of thing that you make that decision because you're pressing a little bit. You feel the pressure. You want to get a run because it's Sydney Watts, and you have to try to push the envelope a little bit. Now, I get it. If it works, it's a genius move. It puts a runner on scoring position. You have an opportunity to go and score, which doesn't happen too much against Sydney Watts. So if it works, it's a genius. But since it didn't work, you do have to kind of look at the decision and go, were they pressing a little bit? Even on the coaching staff, were they trying to push the envelope a little bit too much in every aspect of the game? Maybe. This game probably should have been closer when you look at the talent of the rosters. But I think the attitude, the mental toughness, and I should say mental fortitude of Austintown Fitch, being there last year, being in this game, trying to get back to state, I think that's what got them through. And I think that's why the score was a little bit more lopsided than you would think in this game. Fitch gets to win 8-2. They will play, in my mind, I want to say Fairfield, but I want to check and make sure it's not Fairview, because that would be embarrassing. And I know, let's see, Fairfield. They will play Fairfield in the Division I state semifinals. That'll be Friday at 3:00. So 2 games after the Canfield game. Canfield will play at 10. There'll be another game in between Canfield and Fitch, and then Fitch will play at 3 o'clock in the Division I state semifinals. Divisions 1 and 2 are on Friday. Divisions 3 and 4 are on Thursday for the semifinals, which takes us into Division 3, South Range versus Champion. These were both, by the way, rematches of last year's regional championship games. Last year, South Range won in extras in 8 innings, and they won 8 innings this time around too, but much different score, much different rhythm of the game. Last time it was 8-4 South Range. The Raiders scored 4 runs in the top of the 8th to win that game by 4 in extras, which is something you don't normally see. Usually those extra inning wins are 1-run victories, 2-run victories, something like that. But this time around, I think it was the pitcher's duel you expected last year from these two teams. When it was Stakowicz versus Gradishar, I think the last year you really expected a pitcher's duel. You didn't really get it. You got an 8-4 really offensive matchup. This time around, you got phenomenal pitching, phenomenal defense on both sides. It was scoreless through 7. Both pitchers' strikeout stuff was working. I said that was going to be a key to the game at the top of the broadcast with DJ, because you look at both offenses, they don't strike out a ton, but both pitchers are strikeout pitchers that get a lot of them racked up. Well, they both got a lot of strikeouts. They both were putting people down via the K. They both had good defense behind them. I think we saw Champions infield on display for the most part. We saw South Range's outfield on display. And the reason for that is it's pretty simple. Gradishar induces ground balls, and Jaylee Wilt induces flyouts. Jaylee Wilt's an up pitcher. Not saying that Gradishar doesn't go up in the zone, but she wants to jam you, force that weak contact, and she forces a little bit more ground ball action than Jaylee Wilt does. When I watched this game, and I even watched it back because I just couldn't get over it. When you're just calling it, you don't notice the little things. But I want to give supreme credit to one, Jaylee Wilt, who was her first year varsity player, could have let the moment get to her in this regional final against a very intimidating lineup that features more home runs than I think anyone in the Ysn family has. But not just her, but also Coach Farron for calling a great game pitching. It would have been really easy to go into this game knowing Champion hits home runs. They want to elevate pitches. Let's try to change what Jaylee does. Let's keep her low in the zone. Let's try to, force ground balls, not let them get in the air. It would have been really easy to do that and then take her out of her comfort zone a little bit. And maybe you have more walks, you have more missed spots. But what they did is said, hey, this is Jaylee Wilt's strength. She's an up ball pitcher. We're going to go with her strength, and we're just going to bet that she will be better than Champion's strength. Champion wants to up ball. They want to put the ball in the air, but Jaylee Wilt, and I put this up on Twitter because I got this stat, 15 out of 16 outs that were in play were in the air. There were a couple that were close calls, couple that Champion just barely got under. But at the end of the day, they were under everything. They were under it. A lot of pop-ups in the infield, a lot of pop-ups to the shallow outfield. They were under it all because they were trying to elevate the pitch, and Jaylee Wilt brilliantly used that against them, got over the bats with her up ball, rise ball, sometimes it was high fastballs. Either way, just staying above those bats and saying, if you want to elevate my pitches, you're going to be under it all day. And even the ones that were hit hard, they were still just a fragment under the ball, and because of that, they did not get out of the ballpark. Champion, every hitter almost, except for the couple of speedsters that they do have, were trying to hit home runs, and Jaylee Wilt use that against them by staying above the bats. It was a clinic in how to pitch against a power lineup when you are a rise ball pitcher, because a lot of pitchers, especially at this level, will try to shy away from it and say, you know what, this is a power team. They want to see the ball elevated. Let's go away from that. Let's not do that. And then you get into trouble because you're not doing what you're good at. But Jaylee Wilt pitched an amazing game, and I think Coach Farron called an amazing game as well in that regard. So very, very awesome to see those even Heidi Bartels, she's a part of that battery. I'm sure she was a part of a lot of conversations. So very, very cool to see those three work into such a uniform way and call a great game. And I think, by the way, Addie Warzela, who calls her own game for Gabby Gratishar, they called a great game too. They were pitching really well. It was a pitcher's duel. Both pitchers were insanely good. The difference was one play in the outfield that was just misplayed. And it's unfortunate that they came down to that. But when you're in a pitcher's duel and scoring is limited, everything gets magnified by a ton. And the one mistake got magnified. And they even came back from that mistake. If you watch that highlight of that last play, they didn't panic. They got the ball back in, hit the cutoff perfectly. The throw came in. The throw probably beat Giada Pauline into home. Like, if it's a perfect throw, perfect catch, perfect tag, Pauline's out. But by sending her in that regard, by Coach Farron saying, we're going to go. This is Gabby Gratishar. We can't waste opportunities to score. If she's thrown out, we'll go into extras. Jaylee's pitching really well. We've already gotten past the power bats the last half inning. Let's just send her. We can survive the ninth if she gets out. Let's not waste this opportunity to score with 2 outs. They send her. It forces a perfect play. And the play was good for 2/3 of it, and then it wasn't perfect on the back end. And because of that, Giada Pauline scores. She's safe. Nothing to lose there for South Range. I love the aggressiveness. If she's out, okay, let's go to the ninth. Jaylee's pitching well, like I said. We have the meat of their order up. We got past Gratishar and Warzela in the top half. So, you have Meyer coming up 3, 4, 5. But Jaylee's pitched well against all 3 of those hitters. So let's just send her. And if it works, we're awesome. We're walking it off to state, which it did. But even if it didn't, I think the risk is far worth the reward in that sense. And Donnie Farron was waving around as she rounded second. I think he knew as soon as that ball got into right field, I think he knew, like, we're sending her. And that's a decision you have to make on the fly. Not enough people give that enough credit, because you have to make that decision to send her very, very quickly. If you hesitate for a second, you're done. If she comes round second and she doesn't know if she's going or not, maybe she slows down a bit, trying to round it off on third. No, she's going immediately. As soon as she sees Farron, she sees the go sign. So she is in full gas mode, turning third, going home. And like I said, great throw, great cutoff, great throw in, probably beat her. But it just one hopped into Warzela's chest. She couldn't field it cleanly. And because of that, you force perfect plays from 3 different fielders, and it just wasn't perfect all the way through. Pauline scores, and the Raiders walk off on a statistic inside the park home run. You could not rule it an error because it was never touched in right field. So although from Champion's coaching perspective, it should have never gotten past the right fielder to the fence, it's an error in the sense of it's a mistake. But because it's not a statistical error, because it was never touched, it goes down as an inside the park home run. And that is something I've never seen. Never seen a walk-off inside the park home run when it's 1-0. But you see something new every day when you're doing softball, baseball, right? So unbelievable way to end the day. And then in Division 3, by the way, it gets even more chaotic because everyone kind of, just like they penciled in Walsh versus Fitch, everyone has kind of assumed, okay, it's going to be Wheelersburg in there again. This is a Wheelersburg team that had won back-to-back state championships. They returned everyone but one player. They were killing it all year. They were playing a team that they'd beaten twice by run rule fashion in the season, but they lose any given day. 4-3. South Webster gets the biggest upset in the state over Wheelersburg, knocks out the 2-time reigning state champion. And South Range, not saying it's easy now, because no matter what, whoever gets to state is a very, very good team. South Webster has 25 wins in the season for a reason. 3 losses, 2 of them to Wheelersburg. They're a really good team. But I think that doors creeps open a little bit more, because all of a sudden you don't have to play a team that features 5 or 6 Division I caliber players in their lineup, whether they're committed or they're going to commit. They're just, Wheelersburg was a team that was I mean, we had the makeup of a travel team. It was really good. But any given day, they went up against a team that they had beaten twice in run roll fashion. Don't know if this is true. I wasn't there, but you got to think there was a part of them that kind of looked past South Webster because they'd beaten them twice and they'd beaten rather easily. And South Webster is a team with 25 wins, snuck up on them a little bit and finished out the game 4-3. So that was a big upset. We were on Game Changer during the South Range celebration, watching it. And you don't want to take the foot off the gas pedal because it's not Wheelersburg anymore. But at the same time, you can't ignore the fact that Wheelersburg was a much bigger boulder in the line of a state championship. And now the doors open just a little bit more for South Range to make a run in Division III. Want to take the time, not a YSN school, but want to congratulate Matthews for also making it to the Division IV state semifinals. This will be the first time ever, I believe, that 4 different local teams will be representing the area in Firestone for the state tournament in Divisions 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we will have YSN teams in 1 through 3, and then local teams. We will be rooting for Matthews. We want them to be a YSN family school. They're not yet, but we are rooting for them to go out there and represent our area and show how good Northeast Ohio softball is. So congratulations to the Mustangs for getting to the Division IV state semifinals as well. Man, if you're a fan of area softball, you can go spend all day, all night at Firestone Stadium, Thursday through Saturday, hopefully see 4 state championships. Matthews honestly has the toughest road because they have Strasburg Franklin, who did not get upset. They're looming, and they'll probably see them, I believe, in the state championship. I haven't looked at their regional breakdown, but I believe they're on the opposite end of the state bracket than Strasburg Franklin. So they're a good team. They're a solid softball team. That's going to be the biggest boulder in our local scene. For Fitch, you got Anthony Wayne versus Watkins Memorial on the other side. That'll be a really good softball game, and that'll be the other semifinal. We will break down the whole state bracket. I'll do some research over the next couple of days, and we won't have a show on. Actually, we will have a show on Thursday because South Range plays at 5:30, so I'll be able to do a show and still go down to Firestone. So on Thursday probably will be our state preview day where we break down all the teams, the state, what it looks like, what teams might win on the other side of the bracket, things like that. We'll do all that. I'll do my research. We'll have a state tournament preview day on Thursday for sure. But that's going to do it for the first half of this show. We're going to take a break. On the other end, we have a player profile to feature from South Range. It'll be Anna A., the sophomore for the Raiders. After this break, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication.
Passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on.
The solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
You know, I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, Over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends, top right-hand corner of the screen, Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you, so you don't have to. We try to do the same here on this show every single day, Monday through Friday, 1 to 2. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We're going to hop into a player profile. We're going to hop into South Range and hear more from their softball program. Anna A. from the Raiders is our player profile featured today, so I hope you enjoy this interview. Anthony Hartwig here with the South Range softball player profile. We are joined by sophomore Anna A. Anna, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So when we talk to most sophomores, we're talking with players that, are have little experience, or maybe they haven't gotten in a lot, and this is going to be their first year. Not for you. You had a full season of experience getting all the way to state last year. You were a big part of that team. So my biggest question for you is, coming off of that freshman season where you had so much, to come off of, what was it like preparing for this season and not wanting that sophomore slump and trying to stay away from that?
Yes, I was just about to talk about that. Like, my brother Joe, he always talked to me, "Oh, you're going to hit that slump. You're going to hit that sophomore slump." And it was one of my bigger fears. And so, like, in the off season, I tried to prepare for it better, tried to get more hits in. I started going to my hitting coach sooner than I had in the previous year. And I didn't want to let down my team, considering I had done so well late in the season last year.
You did do so well, especially late in the season. So did you see, especially pitchers in your conference this year, have a little bit more of a game plan against you? I mean, last year you're a freshman. You don't have a lot of things to look at, so there was no really way for pitchers to scout you. Do you think, from your perspective, you saw a little bit more of a game plan against you in the box?
I would definitely say so, yes. Their pitches they were able to place it better. Just seeing the better pitchers than last year. Gabby Gradishar, she's an amazing pitcher. I'm pretty sure she was first team all NE8. I'm very excited to get back to her. It's the good pitchers that do the scouting reports, and that they see she can't hit outside well, but it's always a nice challenge for me to show them that I can hit what they think I can't.
Let's talk about the ending stretch of last year. You went through 3 straight tournament games with a home run: district championship, regional semis, regional championship, and all of those were against D1 pitchers. How much momentum did the end of last year kind of give you into this year?
It definitely helped me bring it on, to know that I'm able to hit those pitchers and to know I'm capable of hitting it that far. I didn't actually know last year until I think DJ Oakley said something that it was my 3rd straight game. I was like, "Are you kidding?" I didn't even notice.
When you think of, this Raider program and the way it's set up right now, where you have, a handful of players that are experienced from last year, but then also plenty of new players that have come into a varsity role this year. From your perspective, what's it been like to have a good mix of young talent that is, cutting their teeth, so as to say, this year, with players like you that went through it all last year and have the experience in the world?
It's very nice to see that our team is so young. So, our team this year is mostly made up of sophomores, and then next year we'll just be losing Gretchen Bartels, and that's basically our whole team. So it's really nice that me and Kira Brogan and some of the swings from last year, we have that experience playing in varsity, so we don't have the jitters for our first time. So we're able to step up and help the younger players accept their role as a starting position or maybe just a DP.
And when the season was starting to get started and you guys were preparing for it, what kind of advice did you give to the players that were making their first varsity run? You went through it last year, so what kind of advice did you give them?
Just to always stay focused, never really get super up or super down. I would always reference Julie Stakowitz. She was very, very even keeled. You never saw any emotion off her on the mound. Just to be confident, and even if you make a mistake, it happens to everybody.
When you think of, the way this season went, and here you are back in regionals, another district championship. It's the 5th straight for this program, 2nd straight for you. How hungry do you think this team is after getting to the state tournament last year and falling short?
It was definitely really hard for us to fall short last year, especially with a good team that we had last year. And I fully believe that this team is able to get that far. Like if you look at our stats, we have pretty good stats. Like I think 6 or 7 of us have home runs. So we definitely all have that ability to hit. We all want to hit. Like it's always a friendly competition between all of us to see who's gonna get up in the batting order. Kira Brogan doesn't know this, but me and her had a little competition in my mind of who can hit the most home runs early in the season.
You guys were trading, the lead for a little bit there. Now you kind of ran away with it with 2 home runs last night against Matthews, but there was a time when you two were flip-flopping between the home run lead.
Yeah. It was Kira would hit one, I'd be in the dugout. I'm I
I
need to get
agree.
another one. I can't let her take it.
What's it like being a left-handed power hitter? You don't see that a lot in high school. You see a lot of lefties. They want to be slappers. They want to be speedsters that can put the ball in play. And then you come up left-handed and you're looking to mash. How much of an advantage do you think that gives you, considering that we don't see it a lot, especially in the area at this level?
I think it definitely helps. Having me and Kira Brogan in the 1 spot being a lefty, me in the 3 spot being a lefty. You definitely don't see that very much. And even against Matthews, the other game, I got up and their coach is like, "Oh, another lefty." What does that mean? Sometimes they will set up in a slap defense, which I always laugh at because it's just no.
Have you ever been asked to slap ever?
I don't think so. I've brought it up as a joke and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, you could do it." But at the same time, I want to hit those home runs. I want those game-winning shots.
I would be really impressed if you slapped a home run, do the footwork and then still put it over the fence. That would be the cream on the cake. Let's talk about this program in general. You look at South Range, they have been so successful over the last decade plus. From your perspective, being in it now for 2 years, what are some things that are unique to this program that you think help it maintain the success that it has for so long?
I definitely say our team chemistry. Coach DeRose does a wonderful job of having us all talk to each other. I just got back actually from his house. We had another team dinner, which I love his wife. She cooks for us. Her food's amazing. But it's just a nice environment for us all to relax, just talk to each other, know each other as players, and outside just as people. So it's nice to see everyone's softer side.
This tournament run, it's a little bit different because you get a little bit of a break between games. You played district back on Thursday. So here you are, you have a good amount of days, 6-day break between then and then. You had the tune-up last night against Matthews, but what's it like having a little bit of practice time, being able to rest a little bit, take care of any little injuries that you might have? What's that been like for you getting ready for tomorrow?
I can see different perspectives on it. We're happy we can have a little break, but at the same time, we don't want to lose the momentum that we already have. So we have to balance it. That's why Coach Dros picks up a game for us, just so we get back in the swing of things. So when we go into our regional game, we're not all tired and we aren't ready for the game. So I do like that about it, but at the same time, I kind of wish the gap was a little bit shorter, so that we didn't have as much time to maybe lose our fundamentals or lose our hitting momentum.
Well, you didn't lose anything against Matthews the other night. So what was it like getting back into the field and trying to, like you say, get right back into rhythm and get right back to fundamentals? What was that like for you guys?
It was definitely really nice to be able to have a pickup game. You're always nervous on injuries and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's to help us figure out our fundamentals and stuff. And it really works for me to just see the ball. Those games, they do matter against our record, but at the same time, you don't want to take them too seriously. You just want to be able to figure out your swing.
You spend a lot of time at the softball field, whether it's hitting or, working on your craft. So I'm wondering, what kind of things do you do outside of the game of softball to stay away from that burnout or using it too much? Or when you just need a mental break, what are some things that you do outside of the sport?
Outside of softball, I do play volleyball, so that's always fun for me. I always see the reminds. Other than that, pretty much my life in softball season is dedicated to softball. I take hitting lessons, which I really love. I love my hitting coach, George. He's one of my favorites. But I always hang out with friends like Gretchen and Heidi, obviously girls on the team, but also other people like Gwen Lowry. She plays basketball. Unfortunately, we're no longer together in that sport.
Did she ever try to recruit you back to the basketball team?
She did. She did the other day, actually. She said, Anna, if I play volleyball, will you play basketball? And I gave it some thought. I was like,
I'm trying to make a deal.
Yes. I was like, going softball, maybe? Like, yes.
So that goes into my next question. If there was any sport that you haven't tried that you want to kind of throw your hat into the ring and you could try if it were available, what are some sports that you look at and you watch maybe on TV or maybe your classmates play and think, I might be able to be pretty good at that?
I have always wanted to try wrestling and lacrosse. Just the only thing with lacrosse is that there's a lot of running. And the thing for wrestling is like they lose a lot of weight. And I don't think like I can stop eating for that amount of time.
The one thing I've noticed about both those sports, they're both really physical. So I think Anna A wants to get out and hit some people, right? You want to get out and, put your body into people. Anna A wants to get she doesn't like the non-contact version of softball. She wants to get into maybe that'll be a good rebounding tool if you play basketball, right?
Yes, if I go back.
When you think of things that you like inside the classroom, you're a student athlete, you're such a good student as well. What are some of your favorite subjects to learn about, and who are some of your favorite teachers in the South Range school system?
I would say my favorite subject is math. I wouldn't say specifically geometry. I've done pretty well in geometry this year, but it definitely hasn't been my best math class. But I think my favorite teacher would be Mr. Landry, which I feel like is a very unpopular opinion, but he's such a nice person, and he always asks me how we're doing in softball, and he does a really good job balancing teaching the German kids and the French kids, which I don't know how he does that.
Do you have him for French or German?
I take German.
Okay. Is this your second year of German?
Yes.
How good are you at learning the language? Do you think like if you got dropped in Munich, you could be able to, get around the language, or do you still think you need some more time to study it and to be able to speak it, at least not fluently, but at least enough to, get around?
I would need Google Translate all the way. I think it just depends on who you are. Will Gehring is very, very good at German. He always finishes first on the test, always gets 100, and then I'm over here finishing last, getting my 80% barely.
And don't worry. I mean, I've been told a lot that German's one of the hardest languages to learn. So, don't feel too bad about that. You're still doing hard work. When you think about going into next year, I know you don't want to think about, you have this season to think about right now, but next year you're going to be an upperclassman. You're going to be asked to be a leader a little bit more. Who are some people that you think you lean on, whether it be in the softball world, whether it be in life? Who are some people that show you how to be a good leader, that when it's asked of you, you're able to lean on the experience of having them in your life?
I would definitely say my grandpa. He's always been there for me. I think I can count on one hand the amount of times he hasn't gone to a game since 8U that I've been playing. He's always there for me. He brings me Gatorade before all of my games. And I would also say Julie Stakowitz. She's my cousin. Of course, I look up to her, but at the same time, she was such a good player and such a good teammate. And even this year when I was asked to step up as a leader, I really looked to her for help with it.
We have to know the dugout snack of choice for Anna A. We can't let this interview go without, if you had one snack for the rest of your career, that's all you could have, what would it be?
I would definitely say grapes, but they have to be the grapes that Susie, like Jaylee's mom, brings from the store at her work. So like near her work, that Walmart, specifically those grapes.
Is that a superstition, or do they really like taste different? Like those grapes are the best.
No, they just hit. They're so crunchy every single time. They hit so hard.
Green grapes or the purple grapes?
The green ones all the way.
Okay, all the way, all the way. So if Anna A had one dugout treat for the rest of her career, it would be Mrs. Wilt's grapes. Got to be them.
Yes.
Does that mean she has to follow you to college and bring you those grapes every day?
I mean, you said it, not me.
When you think about college, I know that's a long way down, but are there any like career paths or job interests that you think might be starting to work their way into your mind when you think about your future?
I've honestly not really been too sure on what I want to be when I grow up. Like I watch shows and obviously like criminal shows or medical shows pique my interest, but like at the same time, I do not have the patience to go to medical school. I would fail out. I can't even do this school staying awake. But when I was little, I used to want to be a chef or a baker. So like that's always in the back of my mind. And my mom's a teacher, obviously, but I don't think kids are for me.
Well, if you don't have the patience for school, especially if they're young kids, I don't know if you'd have the patience for that either.
No.
Gotta have a lot of patience to deal with the youngins, right?
Yeah.
Anna, one of the things we want to do before we let you go, we do this with every player profile. We give the athlete the chance to take the spotlight off themselves for a little bit and shine on their support system, the people in their life that mean so much to them, that always have their back. So I want to give you as much time as you want to give as many thank yous as you need and as many shout outs as you'd like.
My first shout out I would like to give to my grandpa Whitey, who I said was always there for me. I don't think he's missed over 5 games. My grandma, obviously, she's always there for me. She's never afraid to tell me if I had a bad game, which I do sincerely appreciate. Obviously, my parents, even though they weren't there last year for a couple of my home runs, but it was good luck. My boyfriend, Will Gehring, he's the catcher for the baseball team. He's always been there for me, and even if I had a bad day of practice, he tells me that it's just a bad practice. Everyone has them. You're a great player. My other set of grandparents, they're so sweet. Even though they can't make it most of the time, I always get a good luck text from them, which really means a lot to me. And this one might sound interesting, but my brother Joe. He is never afraid to tell me if I have had a bad game. And I overheard him one time talking about how I was actually a good player, and I have never had a compliment like that. I was so sincerely happy.
It's always nice to hear, that you're good from the player that's might be one of your biggest critics, always, trying to pick apart your game and tell you what you can improve on. Yeah. When you get to hear that, hey, I still got it. I'm still a good player. That's gotta feel good.
It does.
All right, Anna, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We appreciate your time, and we wish you the best of luck tomorrow and hopefully Friday, and hopefully even further than that. We hope that South Range is able to get the big trophy at the end, and we'll be right along on that journey with you, and we can't wait to see you again real soon.
Thank you so much.
Anna A. from South Range. What a great interview that was. If you missed it or want to see it in its entirety, it can be seen at ysnlive.com and also the YSN Live YouTube page. Make sure to go over there, check that out. Video content everywhere for that YouTube page. We have interviews, we have player profiles, post-game interviews, coaches corners, game highlights, all that fun stuff over on our YouTube page. Make sure to go check it out, ysnlive.com. Subscribe to it, hit the notification bell so you never miss a video that we put up, and also give us some likes, give us some comments, help us with that YouTube algorithm out there. It can be kind of funky. So that'll do it for today's episode of Running Point. We thank you so much for tuning in. We had great numbers today. I love to see it. Want to thank you for joining us during your lunch Memorial Day. Hope all of you guys, if you are off, are enjoying your off day. And we'll see you back here tomorrow from 1 to 2 on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.